Good morning. My name is Ken Field. I am the managing editor at SSP Publications. We are here today to talk about this book, We Are Nova Scotia 100 Portraits. And we're here with Anne Launcelott, the photographer and author of the book. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, Ken.
What is it that brought you to photography?
At the age of 15, my father gave me a little Brownie Instamatic for my birthday, and I've been photographing ever since.
Okay, wow. What is it that attracted you to photography?
I think in the beginning it was probably the result of my father's slide nights. He had a fabulous eye for landscape photography. And then in my early 20s, I, of course, had a decent camera, and I set up my own dark room and really started to explore what photography could do.
Lovely. Your father took primarily landscape,
Yes.
but your photography is almost exclusively people. What brought you to photographing people?
I think a large part of it was once I became a mother, photographing my children, which was mainly in black and white, so I could do my own printing, and just photographing their daily activities. And as a result, I was very drawn to people. I'm very inspired by people and the themes of everyday life.
Okay.
And as photographers, we're observers. And yes, I really enjoy observing people and photographing their interactions.
Right.
I'm a street photographer,
Okay.
and that is what my passion is.
And what makes a street photographer?
Well, it's just walking the streets, camera in hand, observing people and photographing them. And as a street photographer, it's usually candid.
Right.
This book was much more challenging because I had to ask permission to photograph people because they had to sign a consent form.
Oh, yes.
So I was really out of my comfort zone doing that.
Okay.
But it ended up being just the most amazing experience, meeting all these people and spending time with them, usually anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, in part to put myself at ease because I'm not a formal portrait photographer.
Right.
And it gave me a chance to look at the place and see where the light was good and where
Right.
maybe they could stand, and also to put them at ease. I'm very uncomfortable in front of camera.
Okay.
I'd much rather be behind the lens.
Uh-huh.
And so I could totally understand why a lot of people felt very like sort of like a deer in the headlights.
Indeed.
When the lens was pointed their way. So by chatting to getting to know each other, it put people at ease, made me less nervous about photographing them.
It certainly comes through in the book, that ease, that comfort that the people have
Thank you.
with the photographs. They seem very natural.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of photography internationally.
Yes.
Is there a difference between the photography you did for this book or the people that you photographed for this book and those
Well,
you photographed
The biggest
elsewhere?
difference is that in the countries that I like to travel to, such as Myanmar, India, just to name a few, Vietnam, even in Russia, where I photographed in the countryside, life is lived on the street. Here it's really difficult because perhaps in part because of the pandemic, nobody was out and about.
Right.
So it was through friends and acquaintances introducing me to people or giving me the phone numbers of people so I could phone and see if they'd be interested in being photographed for the project. Knocking on some doors of interesting looking ramshackle places where I thought there might be someone of interest living there to photograph. And chance encounters such as Michael in Monastery,
Right.
who was at the side of the road, who had just gotten a takeout coffee, and I sort of zipped around in my car and told him about the project and asked if I could photograph him because he had such an interesting face.
Trying to find Michael. I probably won't be able to. But you took a photograph of the Karma brothers.
Yes, on Barrington. That was a candid shot. I was going down Barrington Street after photographing at the climbing gym. and I happened to see these two brothers. There was something going on across the road with the police in an apartment building, and they were engrossed in watching that. So I quickly pulled over and took a shot, and then of course I had to go and tell them that I'd photographed them in order to get them to sign the consent form.
Right. So
And
is that more similar to the
this
type
is
of photography
typically the sort of street photography I do.
you would
Absolutely.
do? Right.
Yes.
Right.
So the others were certainly more of a challenge because they were aware that I was there and trying. A lot of times I get people doing things such as looking at a book or talking about situations.
Right. You also took a photograph of a hermit.
Yes.
How did that come to be?
Well, Andrea and Peter Stouffer were invaluable at introducing me to Whitehead and the people in Whitehead, who were all just, oh, it was an absolute pleasure to meet them. And Arthur was someone they introduced me to, and I loved photographing Arthur because this is exactly the sort of work also that I like to do in my travels. You know, a house. I mean, he's just so down to earth.
Yeah.
I mean, what you see is what you get. I love the color and texture of the walls. So many interesting things to look at in the photo around him. So that was a pure joy to photograph Arthur. And
Wonderful.
he was so sweet.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you for this. So We Are Nova Scotia 100 Portraits can be purchased in local bookstores and Chapters Indigo and Coles around the province. It can also be purchased online at Chapters, through Chapters, Amazon.ca, and at sspub.ca.
And can I mention to please support your local independent bookstores? Can be purchased at Bookmark on Spring Garden Road and In a Box on Dresden Road.
Thank you.